Good morning, everybody. Good morning again. I'm back and again working on a nice bridesmaid infinity hymn. They go on and on and on and on forever and ever. And so here we are. Gonna move that. So today, a couple things that I wanted to mention or chat about. The first one is just to talk again as a reminder that as you're moving through the beginning of this process, as you're starting to reach out to people that you can meet with, people that you can network with, online resources that you see, you're going to get a lot of conflicting information. And a lot of it is not going to feel right. It's not going to seem appropriate. Some of it you may be like, well, I don't know. And some of it you're going to be like, that is absolutely not the right thing for me. And there is a lot of pressure. There is a lot of people and circumstances that they say that, oh, you have to do this. You have to do it this way. You have to approach it this way. You have to make this. You have to do this. Aside from the legality of your business and, the tax implications and the legality of licensing and insurance, other than that, I don't know that there's anything that you have to do a specific way. Everybody's going to do that. And I think it's important when somebody offers you advice about your business to look at their why. You have your why, and a lot of them have a why. Why do they insist that this needs to be done a certain way? Why? And take that information and do with it what you will. And you can turn around and say the same thing about me in these videos, and that's, whatever, that's fine. Okay. What I'm saying isn't appropriate for everybody either, but my goal here is to at least make you think. And so that's something valuable too. You don't want to lose your thinking when you're in this process. So at least there's that. So we're going to talk a little bit then about business plans, because what will happen fairly early on is somebody's are going to tell you that you should make a business plan. There are tons of very legitimate resources online to get free templates for business plans. So I'm not going to go into what a business plan looks like or how it's structured or the things that should be on a business plan. There's lots of, like I said, lots of very good free resources that are from really legit places that will get you a template of what your business plan should be. And I admit, absolutely, did I think that I needed to have one? Did I start filling it out? Yes. Did it work for me in its entirety? No, it didn't. I got to a point with my business plan that I was like, this is not, I'm not ready for these decisions, or this isn't applicable to my situation, or this just doesn't seem like it's helping me anymore. I had good intentions with it. I will tell you that if you are seeking funding, if you're seeking loans, if you're seeking grants, if there's something like that that's going on, having a business plan is going to be something that you're going to have. It's you're going to need to do that. Like I said, I got about halfway through, and I didn't finish it. I'm sure it's still living somewhere on my laptop, because it wasn't helping me. And because I knew that I wasn't going to be applying for loans or grants, at least not in the near future, that it wasn't necessary for those things. So I just stopped with it. And I think that there were decisions made, and I do feel like it was valuable to get me thinking, but there was a lot of it that I just, again, didn't need to focus my business on. I knew what my goals were, and I knew how that was going to happen. My goal was not to make $100,000 a year working full-time doing alterations. My goal was not to have employees or outsource my labor. My goal was to make a full-time income, and by that I mean somewhere around $50,000 for here. That's reasonable. Doing that part-time. So instead of the $100,000 for a full-time job as a goal, I wanted $50,000 for a part-time job. The math is still math. Having said that, how you approach those things is different. Your approach to both of those situations is going to be a little bit different. My goal is the flexibility. My goal is the ability for me to have more control over my hours. There are people in my peer group who are retired. They're retired because they played their cards right and they got good jobs and they stayed with them long enough and they were in the right businesses or the right situations where they got pensions or retirement or whatever. I don't know that I'm ever going to get that level of retirement, but I do want and need some flexibility with my hours and some and I don't want to work the heavy hours anymore. I don't want to do that. I need to be able to shuffle things around. I need to be able to look out on the calendar and say, well, on such and such Thursday, I can't be here. And to be able to do that because I want to do that, not because I have to go ask permission to not come in on Thursday, and because I, have enough comp hours built up or, whatever system is in place by some other person who doesn't understand my priorities, who doesn't understand my schedule. I mean, I'm in here working today and I'm going to be in here until, 5 hours, 4 hours. And then I'm leaving. I don't have any fittings scheduled for today. It wasn't an intentional choice. It just happened that way. I've got a bunch tomorrow, but today I don't. And I looked at the schedule, I looked at what I have to do, and I looked at other things in life that I have to do. And I decided that today was not a day where I was going to be here all day. Some days there are. And I don't want to say that I'm working exactly 20 hours. I'm not. I'm working closer to 30, but I'm still building the business also. So what does that mean, for me? So I feel like using Business Plan Template is a valuable resource for you because it asks questions. It gets you thinking about things that you maybe haven't thought about yet, where you can start contemplating stuff that you hadn't contemplated before. Do you have to have it? Do you have to have it perfectly filled out? Do you have to know all those things? Do you have to have a plan more than 4 or 5 months out? Absolutely not. I mean, you know what your goal is, and your goal isn't necessarily going to be a typical goal. It's not necessarily going to be what other people would want you to have, and that's okay. But that is my entire spiel about business plans. I mean, you know, it's a tool to use the way that you need to use it. And when you're done using it, you put the tool away. That's that. I feel like I can go ahead and touch a little bit also back again on networking and making connections within the community and how that works. I definitely came into this situation not knowing a lot of people in the community already. I had not lived here that long, and so a lot of those natural connections, the people you know, who, you know, referrals from other people are always going to be a real strong part of your business. I didn't have a lot of people to start with, and so I did rely, like I said in the other episode, I did rely a lot on going to networking groups and joining things and going to classes where there was networking happening and reaching out that way. And, you know, having business cards in my purse all the time to leave on bulletin boards and, you know, all of those things. And it may be that you more naturally live in an area where you know more people, where you have family, where you have a connection. It may be that you're wanting to start your alterations business and your daughter or your neighbor's daughter is a high schooler, and you can use them to spread the word about prom. It may be that you go to church and you can spread the word amongst your church friends. You know, kind of the challenge with concentrating on bridal and formal wear is that it's for special occasion. It's not so much for every day. So I did realize though that there is, first of all, kind of a mom network, a mother of the bride network out there, but also, you know, there's an age range. Once you get in with a friend group, the word will spread within the friend group. You know, there's an age range where everybody's getting married, and if you can pop around and get into a couple of those friend groups, the word will spread. I do get referrals often from prior clients who have given my name to their friends because they're now getting married, or their daughter is getting married, or however that works. So I believe that that happens kind of organically, and I think you can get started with that. Or people who are bridesmaids in other weddings who then get engaged themselves. It happens a lot. I also believe that you don't have to take advantage of every networking opportunity that comes your way. You can try out different things and see what works and what doesn't work. There are lots of places and groups and different things that you can go to. I mean, if you're intentionally going around town leaving business cards all over the place, and all you're getting are people that are looky-loos and want their $2 pants hem, then it's a waste of your time to keep doing that. Do something else. Shift to the focus and find a different way to get your name out there. Sometimes I get referrals from other bridal shops because they are booked up, and they get somebody who calls, and just out of the goodness of their hearts, they say, well, I can't do it, but this other person can. They are people who are either very close to me geographically, so it's convenient for the customer, or they are people who I know, and who know that I am over here doing this work. You don't have to, you don't have to be friends with every other alterations person in town. I am not. I'm friends with a couple. There are some areas though that network is very strong, and if you luck into that, that is so great that you have that built in, where you can send people to each other, and also, you know, warn each other if that's a thing, or share supplies, since it's so much more challenging to get a hold of supplies now. If you have somebody that you can text, you know, locally and say, hey, do you have lace that looks like this? Do you have, you know, do you have horsehair? Do you have any of those things that will, you know, that are so specific, and you just can't pop over, you know, you can't pop over to the fabric store for, because the fabric store is not there anymore. It doesn't hurt to make friends with those people, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, I will tell you a story. When I was growing up, I lived in a kind of a small town, like 20,000 people roughly, and there was a single alteration shop in town. Of course, everybody in my family knew how to sew. We didn't need this person, but everybody knew who she was. And she had a reputation for being really mean. It was kind of funny, I thought, at the time. She had a reputation for, you know, getting clients in, and she, I'm sure, was primarily doing regular clothes. But she had a reputation for getting clients in and saying things like, you know, that dress is never going to look good on you because you're too fat, or saying, you know, I don't know why you want this altered because it's ugly, all kinds of that kind of thing. And I mean, of course, I thought it was funny because I never had to go to her, but you would hear stories about her, about how mean she was to people. And you would hear stories like, gosh, I need to go get some pants hemmed, but I hate going to her because she's so mean. Everybody knew who she was, but she was the only game in town, so, you know, you did what you did. And I remember some people moved into town, and some ladies opened up another bridal shop, and everybody was so happy that they didn't have to deal with this woman anymore if they didn't want to, because she was so mean to everyone. I wish that I could say that that kind of situation no longer exists. But I think we both know that that kind of situation still exists. There are still people who are just flat out mean. And if they're mean to customers, I can't imagine what they're like to other alterations people that they no doubt view as competition. Then I don't need to hang out with them. You will have people locally talk badly about you. It's possible. They will tell other people that you overcharge, or that you undercharge, or that your work is this, or that something about this, or whatever. You will find your tribe. You will find people that you can be friends with, and maybe they're local and maybe they're not, and that's all okay. You, just like taking business advice from people who have an ulterior motive, you know, you got to recognize what's going on, and recognize that you'll know what feels right for you and what doesn't. I knew that the goal, which is a very common goal, to make the most money possible, was not my goal ultimately. I mean, if it happens, that's super cool, but that wasn't the goal going into it. At the same time, I believe that my work is good and that I should be paid appropriately for what I'm doing. And there is a balance there that you kind of have to figure out in your head of what is that? What does that look like? But you know what that looks like. You don't need other people telling you what you should be thinking about that. I've had people tell me, you know, try to tell me what to do with my business. Oh my gosh, this light. Ah. I'm gonna have to do something about this light. But anyway, that, you know, you have people telling you what to do about with my business, and I'm like, this is my business though. And while it is good to seek advice, you have to take the advice and figure out how it works for the situation you're in. You're going to be in a unique situation. You are not a McDonald's store, you are not a 7-Eleven, you are a creative artist in a field that requires creativity. It requires a high level of skill. There are things that you are more comfortable with than others. Everybody's going to be unique going into the situation. And you have to be comfortable with what your goals are enough to know what things are right for you and what things aren't, and be prepared to go with that. Trust your gut on it. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I will stop for now, and I will be back in a little bit with a different topic. Bye-bye.